Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Indiana Grand Racecourse here on Saturday. It is July the 16th, 2016. I'm going to look at all the stakes races, starting off at race number 3, ending off with race number 9, the Indiana Derby. Before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kit 5 for more selections. You know, it's a great card from Indiana. I will have an all stakes pick 4 ticket that starts with race 6. I'll have a ticket up on my Twitter account. I haven't finalized it yet. I've been a little busy today. As you can tell, it's not my normal background. I'm on actually a family vacation, so sneak this video in quickly. But let's get on to it. Starting off with race number 3. The races I'll be looking at are races 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Races 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Race number 3 is the Indiana General Assembly Distaff. Purse $100,000 for fillies, mares, 4-year-olds, and upwards. We have a field of 12 horses traveling the distance of ground of a mile and 1/16 on the turf course. Hopefully it stays on the turf course because there's a horse I really like in this race. That's the one horse who looks very hard to beat. Number 1, Cash Control, 7-5, Sean Bridgmahan. I'm going to put this horse into a superfecta. I'm going to go 1-11-5-3. 1-11-5-3. If you're playing the pick 6, I would maybe single. If this race if it stays on the turf, I would definitely single the one horse Cash Control because she's been facing a lot tougher and she's been winning against a lot tougher the last few starts. Last time out, Churchill a few weeks ago, mile 16th in Mint Julep. Great 3 event that day. Horse won by head that day. You know, it was up near the pace that day, and you know, had a long drive and really had a very nice victory. You know, it was a very nice race for this horse. Then in the Distaff Turf Mile at Churchill, a mile May the 7th. This horse finished third by 4.5 lengths, finishing behind Tempin, who went over to the United Kingdom to win at Royal Ascot and Queen Anne. But this horse, you know, it was a decent third place finish, and then this horse finished second in New Orleans Lady Turf Stakes. You know, I think this horse should have a very good run here. If you're playing the pick 6, it's definite single in my eyes. So I'm going to go with this one. So to recap my bets for race number 3 from Indiana Grand, it's the Indiana General Assembly Distaff. I'm going to go to the one horse Cash Control. You know, like I said, many times single it in the pick 6. I would do a superfecta with 1-11-5-3. 1-11-5-3. So now we're going to head over to race number 5. The 5th race from Indiana Grand is the 8th running of the Warrior Veterans Stakes. Purse $100,000 for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 14 horses. 13 and 14 are also eligible, so only 12 could run, traveling a mile and a 16th on the turf course. My top selection here is going to go to a bit of a long shot, and that's the 6 horse at 15-1. Watch Your Own Bobber. Watch. Let me see if I said this right. Right. Watch Your Own Bobber. Yes. It's 15-1 here. I really like this horse's chances here. I'm gonna put this horse into a superfecta. I'm gonna go 6-5-9-10. 6-5-9-10. Number 6. Watch Your Own Bobber, 15-1. Luis Saez for Mike Maker for the Ramseys. Last time out, ran Churchill, mile 16th, an optional 100 claimer. For this horse's second start of the year, first start since March. This horse finished 4th by 3 3/4 lengths that day. Was near the lead that day, but just couldn't get that really good run in. I think this horse will really improve second off the layoff. Down in Barbados, down in the Caribbean, on March the 5th in the Barbados Gold Cup. This horse finished second by 3 lengths that day. Was a little bit outfinished with Pat Husbands up that day. You know, that Barbados Gold Cup, it is a Group 1 or Grade 1, but if you looked at the field, I've actually found the past performances, it plays more towards quality horses of an overnight stakes somewhere in the United States. So don't take a lot out of that race. And then at Gulfstream, mile 16th in the Tropical Park Derby. Horse finished third by neck, stalked the lead early that day, and you know, had a very nice closing kick, but really couldn't get that, you know, that head in front or that neck in front. This horse's last win came showing up stakes at Gulfstream Park last October, but I think at Gulfstream Park West Calder. But I think this horse will really improve. Watch out for this one here today. 15-1. I'm going to take my chances with this one. If you're playing the pick 6 or pick 4, I believe there is a pick 4 that starts with this leg. There's a pick 6 that starts with race number 5, and a pick 4 that starts with race number 5, and a pick 4 that starts with race number 6. I'm going to use the one with race number 6. But if you're playing the pick 4, the picks or the pick 6, I would use the 6, of course. I would use the 5. You know, I think I would use all the horses I have in the superfecta, just to be, sure, because you never know. But I really like watch your own Bobber's chances here. So to recap my bets, race number 5 from Indiana Grand, it's the Warriors Veteran Stakes. I'm gonna go to the 6 horse. I'm gonna put this horse into a superfecta. I'm gonna go 6-5-9-10, 6-5-9-10. So now let's get on to race number 6 from Indiana Grand. It's the start of the pick four, the Royal Pick Four as they call it. It's the eighth running of the Mari Holman George Stakes. Purse $100,000 for fillies, mares, 3-year-olds, and upwards. We have a field of 7 horses traveling a mile and 1/16 on the dirt. Mile and 16th. And my top selection here will go to the 7 horse and number 7, Brooklyn's Way. I think I would single this horse in the pick four. 7-5-2-1. I would go into superfecta 7-5-2-1. Looking at the other horses, and maybe a horse that could maybe upset would be the 5, but this 7 horse, Brooklyn's Way, looks very hard to beat. 4-5, Robbie Alvarado. Last time out, ran a Churchill, mile in the 8th in the Fleur, the Liz handicap. Horse finished second by 3 lengths that day. Couldn't get up to the winner that day. This horse was 10-1. Then the Arlington Matron, a mile and 8th on the poly track at Arlington Park. Horse finished third by 2 3/4 lengths behind Flip Cup, who had a very nice run. This horse had a bad start. He really couldn't recover after that. And then the later on at Churchill Derby on Oaks Day, I believe it is. This horse finished fifth by 9 1/4 lengths behind Carolina and Sheer Drama. This horse had just nothing into the lane. It was a track that day, Oaks Day and Derby Day, that was not playing towards closers. But I think this horse should have a very good run here. This horse won the Double Dar, or whatever they want to call that race, at Keelan in the fall, in the spring. But I think this horse should have a good run here. 4-5. I don't like the price, but when you have to take the price, you have to take the price. So to recap my bets for race number 6 from Indiana Grand, Damari Holman George Stakes. Going to go to the 7 horses, the top selection. Gonna put this horse into a superfecta. Gonna go 7-5-2-1. 7-5-2-1. I would single the 7 and the pick 4. So now let's get on to race number 7. It's the 18th running of the Michael Schaefer Memorial Purse. $100,000 for 3-year-olds and older. We have a field of 10, make that 10 horses, traveling a mile and 70 yards on the dirt. And my top selection here is going to go to the 1 horse, number 1, General A-Rod. I'm going to put this horse into a superfecta. I'm going to go 1-3-5-4. 1-3-5-4. But number 1, General A-Rod, 5-2. Luis Saez, Mike Makers trains this one. Last time out, Churchill, first start back with Mike Maker, an optional 100 claimer. This horse won by length that day at even money. This horse had a very clear victory. It was stalking the pace that day. A little bit wide, but very clear victory. Start before that was a mile and 8th in the Ben Alley Stakes at Keelan on April 16th. Horse finished 6th by 11 lengths that day. This horse had nothing that day. He had nothing in the San Anita handicap, finished 9th. He did win a race at Gulfstream Park, which I really liked. Excuse me. God, I have heartburn. Gulfstream Park, mile 16th on January 28th, an optional 100 claimer. This horse won by 7.5 lengths that day. Very nice victory, ridden out. But I think this horse should run great here. I think he's coming into the race good against this quality field. He should have a very nice run. This horse was on the Derby Trail in 2014, finishing 7th, 4th, and 11th. That was in Belmont, Preakness, and Derby. But this horse, very nice horse. Gonna use him here. Do I single this leg in the pick 4 also? To find a price here, Departing's very good horse also. I know he's not a price. Rocket Time, not a price of 4-1. I would probably go. You know, the 4 horse Aces High is a weird horse. I would probably use all these 4 horses on this ticket. It's gonna if I single this, there's this next race is gonna be a little bit of a chalky leg also. So maybe I could find a price with the 4 horse here or the 5 horse getting up to a nice decent price, but you never know. I think I would go 4 deep in this leg in the pick 4. So to recap my bets, race number 7 from Indiana Grand, it's the Michael Schaefer Memorial. Gonna go to the 1 horse General A-Rod. I'm gonna put this horse into a superfecta. I'm gonna go 1-3-5-4. So now let's get on to race number 8 from Indiana Grand. It's the 22nd running of the Indiana Oaks. Grade 2, purse $200,000 for 3-year-olds, fillies. We have a field of 8 horses traveling the distance of ground of a mile and a 16th. And I just noticed it's so dark in here. I was cursed, but don't curse, Steve. But it's very dark. I should fix that up if I can. But it's a very good Indiana Oaks this year, traveling a mile 16th. We have 8 horses into going, and see, because I mentioned something about the lights. When I usually show that diagram, I usually look down to see which horse I have. See, I didn't this time. I don't want to, be keep looking down. That's why I showed the diagram, so it doesn't look like I'm keep looking down at the paper. But top selection here is going to go to the 7 horse. If we could get the page loaded now. The 7 horse, who is Family Tree 7 to 5. Like I said last race, it's a bit of a chalky race, I think. This horse looks very hard to beat here with Julian Leperoux. Gonna go 7-1-2-6. 7-1-2-6. Number 7, Family Tree 7 to 5 with Julian Leperoux, the Frenchman in the saddle. Last time out, ran at Prairie Meadows on a good racetrack, mile 16th in the Iowa Oaks. This horse won by 2 lengths with another Frenchman up that day, Franjo. This horse just had a very nice clear kick that day. Very nice victory. Then a allowance race at Churchill, mile 16th on May 20th, and allowance race 53,000. Horse finished second by 3/4 length. The 60 cents to the dollar that they led all throughout. Got caught at the final in the final 16th of a mile, and really couldn't recover after that. And then Churchill, mile 16th, optional 75 claimers. Horse won by 3 3/4 lengths. Again, stalking the lead. Very clear victory. Was previously trained by Bob Baffert, now with Wayne Catalano, who this horse started his career with. I think this horse had a very good run here. Big question is the mile 16th distance, but I think this horse can handle it. He handled it last time out. This, I think this horse should have a very nice run here. So to recap my bets for the Indiana Oaks, race number 8 from Indiana Grand, or Indiana Downs as it used to be called. I'm going to go to the 7 horse, who is Family Tree. I'm going to put this horse into a superfecta. Going to go 7-1-2-6. 7-1-2-6. Now let's get on to race number 9. It's the featured. The 9th race is 22nd running of the Indiana Derby. Grade 2 purse $500,000. It's for 3-year-olds. We have a field of 12 horses. We're going to have a full starting gate of 12 horses, hopefully, traveling a mile 16th. Mile and 1/16th. And there's a horse I really like here at 30 to 1, and that's the 6th horse, Cocked and Loaded. I'm going to put this horse into a superfecta. I'm going to go 6-11-2-12. 6-11-2-12. I would use all 4 of them in the pick 4 because, this horse I like on top. He's either gonna run a big race or he's not gonna run a race at all. He's gonna finish last. I think there's no in the middle for this horse today, the Cocked and Loaded. So that's why I would use all 4. So 6-11-2-12. Number 6, Cocked and Loaded, 30 to 1. Willie Martinez for Larry Valley out of Colonel John. Who ran in the 2009 Breeders' Cup Classic at Church at it was at Sandia that year. That was the year Zenyatta ran. And if Zenyatta wasn't, I don't know why I didn't have Zenyatta in that superfecta. I would have had, if Gioponte would have won that day. I think I actually did. Pardon me. I actually had Zenyatta in the superfecta. If Gioponte would have won that Breeders' Cup Classic, I would have been on an island somewhere the next day. I wouldn't be doing these videos at the moment. Same with it comes to mind also 2014 if who's that horse? Toast in New York would have got the win through the disqualification of Bayern. I would have been on cloud 9 because that superfecta and that win bet I had on it would have I wouldn't have to my college payments would be next to nothing after that payout. But back to the Indiana Derby, number 6, Cotton Loaded, Willie Martinez, 31. Last time out, this horse ran in the Ohio Derby a few weeks ago at Thistle. Horse finished 4th by 6 lengths. Set the pace early, but was weakening towards the end of the race. The winner, Motown, ran a hell of a race. Then at Arlington, mile on the 8th on Yielding Turf Course on May 28th in the Arlington Classic. Horse finished 11th by 17 1/4 lengths. First start on turf. I believe it's going to be the last start on turf because this horse just did not do good at all. And then the Pat Day Mile, this horse finished 13th. This horse came to New York on the mud, finished 3rd in the Bay Shore, 5th in last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile, which I think was a very good 5th place finish that day. It was up near the pace early, it was a length off of it. Weakened a little bit, but I think this horse should really improve with that last start. If this horse could rate a little bit, I think he's going to have a very good run. You have a very speedy horse to his outside, Cupid, who you never know. Cupid ran a dud last time out in the Easy Goer. A lot of people thought he was going to run a good race. I had him as a single in that pick 5, and he ran fifth. He ran last. So hopefully Cupid could run a good race also. But you have a speedy horse. Cockton Load has some speed. Cupid has some speed. Who else has some speed? The three horse Pilot House has a little bit of speed. The five horse to the inside of this horse has some speed. The eight horse has a little bit of speed if he wants to use it. A few of them have speed, but I think if this horse could rate a little bit, I think this horse will really do well. Top selection here at 31. So to count my bets for race number 9, it's the Indiana Derby from Indiana Grand Racecourse here on the Saturday night. Post time is at 9:41 Eastern. My top selection in the Indiana Derby is going to go to the six horse Cockton Loaded. I'm going to put this horse into a superfecta. I'm gonna go 6'11", 212. 6'11", 212. I would go four deep in this leg, maybe to find just in case Cockton Load doesn't run a good race. So 6'11", 212. So good luck to all, and follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5. Good luck, everybody.